Hi, everybody. So glad to have you back. Welcome to the final session of our 3-day bootcamp, learning about Figma and design. I'm waiting for more people to join. Feel free to drop in any queries that you want me to address before we move forward. It'll be great if people can start interacting. As I mentioned before, this is not a one-way conversation. I need you guys to help me understand if there is any difficulty in what we've discussed, or if you have any queries with regards to design. All of that can be answered here. Can we discuss something about masking in today's session? Can you elaborate your question a little bit? Difference between Figma and WordPress? Well, the difference is very huge actually. Figma is strictly design based, and WordPress is basically a templatized version of pre-coded designs. It basically in WordPress there is no design element that is required. I don't need to make the containers. I don't need to make the buttons. It is already pre-designed, and because of the templates and yeah. So the design part that you see on the templates on WordPress has been done in Figma or some other design tool. But again, that is a primary difference. Masking in Figma. Uh, okay. I will address this, and you can tell me uh, if that is what your query was. Which one is better between Figma and WordPress? So again, because they are catering to two very different use cases. There is no direct competition between WordPress and Figma. Figma is a design tool that is kind of used. It's a one step prior to the development phase. So whatever you see, any visual interfaces that we are seeing, that part is handled by Figma, and once the design is ready, it is coded and used on WordPress or similar sites. Any other question, guys? Okay, some plugins to convert the design into HTML and CSS. Uh, all right. For this, whoever is requesting edit access, first of all, on the Figma file that I had shared, please don't. This is a personal account and a free account in that one, and I can't give you edit access to this. What you can do is create a copy of this file that you can work on in your own account. So that will be great. Where to get internships on Figma? Yes, we will address that. And Manoj, to address your query, to suggest some plugins for converting the design into HTML and CSS. So again, Figma has so many options, and I think it does, even in the free accounts that are in your draft, it does let you kind of view some sort of code, if not all of it. And I will add a couple of plugins in my file. Any other questions, guys? Or should we move forward? Okay, I think that is all. And okay, so in today's session, we are going to be working on creating the application design that we had started in the first session and touched a little bit in the yesterday's session. And apart from this, we are also going to create a three-fold landing page using the auto layout feature and creating components and creating a library as we go. Apart from this, I think what we will discuss is again how to land a job in the world of UI UX and what are the expectations that the companies have for you, and of course, addressing your queries as we go. All right, let me just present my screen. I hope it's visible. So we had started from this section. We had created a low fidelity wireframe for the application. We wanted to create an onboarding flow for the users. And we brainstormed. If you refer to the first session's comment section, you will see that we entertained a lot, many features. We talked about what all functionalities we could add in this particular design, if it's feasible or not. We checked that, and later on, I think as we move to the UI phase, most of you must have observed that the design that we had initially started with looks a little bit different, a little bit different from basically what we were initially thinking of, which is again the whole idea in creating low fidelity wireframes. We want to dump all the features that we have in our system, or whatever the business requirements are or the user's needs are. And at the end, we kind of do want to find a middle ground between the business and the user, and design based around it. So, okay, so this design is not really all that appealing, and it doesn't really follow a whole lot of hierarchy, and it might not, might not be ready to be shipped out for the end user. So, okay, we are here to fix that. But before we get started, let me just give you guys a brief to jog your memories as to what this use case is. Here we are trying to create an application for a healthcare company. This application caters to anything and everything related to health. It has the scope that hasn't been defined by anybody, but again, the potential is endless because it's healthcare sector. So maybe we can get the user to make a booking with the doctors. Maybe they can upload their prescription and get the medicines delivered to their addresses. Maybe they can get in touch with the doctor virtually or book their tests. Whatever that you can think of, this application can do. And basically, in this session, what we're trying to do is cover the onboarding part. Onboarding part entails my splash screen, my login or sign up page, the details that it's asking for in those particular pages, my OTP verification, any error states that there could be, and then a success page, of course. So, not covering the signing up via Google and Facebook or LinkedIn, any social handles. We're not going to be covering that because those are third party screens. We do not need any customization in those apart from adding the logo and some branding material in the form of content. So we're not going to be covering that. But okay, just take a look at this screen. Tell me if this is supposed to be my sign up screen. Am I missing any critical information in this page? Is there something that I haven't added, but I should? I'm gonna head to the comment section now. With regards to AI, we talked about it in depth in yesterday's session. So if you can just head to that session and go through the recording again. Guys, all questions related to certificates, the account from Let's Upgrade has mentioned this in the comment chat. If you can just scroll up or go to the description and check that there is a section that gives you a direct link to the certificates, that will be great. Right now, if we can focus on the assignment or the project that we're working on, again, no assignment had been allotted. So this is the working session. It would be great if you guys can interact on this, give your comment, feedback. Let me know if you're thinking in the right direction, maybe bounce ideas off of each other. So any features, any properties that you think would be great to include in my sign up page. Okay, email addresses, right. So, email address for sign up, I think we had discussed in the first session, but at the end we decided to go with phone number. But I think we can keep an option to add users' email address because we are getting them to sign up. And so whenever we are designing something, no matter how easy or predictable it may sound, to get the user's phone number along with their STD code and an email, you also need to be aware of what implications it might have with respect to technology and what all user flows I need to cater to. So I think this was just kind of an exercise to kind of get you guys familiar with what problems we could face when we start working on even the wireframes. So let's quickly head to a rough sketch where I start with download the app. I get the user to download the application. What will they see first? They will see the splash screen. After the splash screen, there comes a page which lets the users decide, do they want to sign up or do they want to log in. Now, if the user has clicked on sign up, I know, of course, that there are going to be different properties, different information fields that I will be showing to the user as compared to logging in. This one other good to have feature after the page that I land to right after the splash screen is this page should also have a feature to get in touch with support. Maybe the user is not familiar with the language. Maybe there is some problem with the application. Maybe it is crashing right on this page. I don't know. There could be a number of problems that are happening in my ecosystem, but it is always a good option to not let the user feel stupid or not let the user face a lot of difficulties with no way to get help. So support or get a call back or something, leave a message. All of those features are definitely good to have when we are creating something that caters to an end user. So again, support is something that we need to have, along with an option for language support or changing language. So these are two features that we need to have in screen A. Okay, moving on. So even before wireframing, creating a flow chart to map out the user's journey is very important. It helps us understand what information, uh, hey, hello, it will be great if you guys can not be in this area while we are going through the session. It is a little disruptive. Thank you so much. You guys can just feel free to roam around this file as much as you can after this session. I already have shared the link with you all. Thank you. So again, as I was mentioning, that it is very important to follow a few steps when we start creating an application or website, or even if you are creating something as simple as a pitch deck or a marketing, sorry, not marketing, a company profile or a marketing deck even. So creating a rough flow of how to take my user from point A to point B, we need to map all of this. We need to understand what their flow will be, which will in turn help us understand that before I get my user to a sign up page, there has to be a page which is called a splash screen, which is important for the user to get familiar with my branding. For example, when we use the application Uber, we are very familiar with the branding now. We know that their background color is black, that they have a logo animation, a lot of lines that are moving right here, somewhere around this, and then there is Uber written, and then it goes away. All of that is happening momentarily. It is what, merely 1 or 2 seconds, but because we've used it and they have made it so prominent, we know that this is what Uber's branding is. Similarly, splash screen is very important in setting the context and getting the user be familiar with the brand, right? So this is why we understand that this part is important. Before we get the user to actually make an action on the application, it is important to get them familiar, right? And then an option to sign up or log in. Most of the applications have kind of merged these two steps. They give you one input box, which is basically your number. You enter your number, you click on OTP or get OTP over here, and then you get the option to verify the number through OTPs. And after that, if you are a new user, they get you to fill out a couple of details. If not, you directly land to the home page, right? So again, it is a personal preference. There is no right or wrong here. It is all subjective. You can get the user to skip this one step by getting them to fill this information directly, or if that is what the main goal is, if you want more and more users to just kind of sign up on the application, this makes sense. Because at the end of the day, both of these steps are getting the information of the user. In this combined step, you're getting the information later on, but if you get them to click on this separately, you are making sure that the user is aware that they need to fill out some information. And once they have their first name, last name, email address, then they can basically click on the verify OTP button, in which they verify their OTP and then they are taken to the home screen. So again, no right or wrong approach, just subjective based on what your goal is, how you want the user to feel, what you want the user to feel. All right. I'm gonna quickly head over to the comment section to see. Some applications have an option to skip sign up. Yes, definitely a good approach to have the user not fill out this information and kind of just go through whatever properties or features that they have to offer. For example, most of the e-commerce applications, they, for example, Amazon or Myntra, they don't bombard you with they don't force you to sign up or log in on the application. because at the end of the day they are aware that if you need something, if you want to purchase something or see what the discount is, you will need to, at the end of the day, sign up or log in on the application. People who haven't found the Figma file, please refer to these two docs. The link is there. Okay. We can put email as a second option. Right, right. Yes, we can. Uh, so we're not going to build a new feature from scratch. We are just going to be creating a couple of screens using auto layout components, UI libraries, to kind of understand how the design process is actually done. It would be great, and feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, and you can, work more on the project that I have started here, which is a healthcare application. Again, guys, as I mentioned before in yesterday's session, please do use the power of ChatGPT or Gemini to kind of validate the ideas. If you're creating an application, just I had written down, I want to design a healthcare application. What are the primary features this application should have? It gave me a list of so many features I had not even started thinking about. Again, what tell me about UI UX trends in 2024? So many options. I do not really need to go out and read any articles. I have all the information right here. I can incorporate or enhance my designs based on the feedback that I'm getting here. All right. Uh, right. My LinkedIn link. Yes, I will add that in the document at the end of the session as well. My name is Twinkle Sharma. Okay, great, great. So the last we had discussed about it was to add email, which is when we started talking about creating a user flow. So, all right, now I have gotten my user to click on sign up. What information do I want to show on this page? One is definitely my branding aspect. What does branding aspect mean? It means my logo, and it means some content to help the user understand what is actually happening, what is the uh, target audience for this, what is the sector this is catering to, all of that information to basically guide the user, not just through visual cues but also content, right? This is why my branding is important. When we talk about branding, it is not just logo and content, it is also my guidelines. So, when can you guys quickly tell me that when we log in or sign up on Amazon, what color is my primary CTA? Can you please quickly share that? What is the color of my primary CTA on Amazon when we log in or sign up? Yep, it's very close to the color for the let's upgrade check in the chat. It's yellow. It might uh, differ from your device to device, but I think it's yellow. It's not orange, and the outline is black. So basically, that is again the recall value, because they have a combination of black and orange. Oh, sorry, black and yellow in their guidelines. That is their brand. So again, guidelines are important to get the user familiar. If I ever see a combination of these two colors, maybe with black and yellow, or maybe even an arrow under some text, my mind is gonna think of Amazon. So that is the power of branding, creating a recall value. What is the color of, if I have to say, I can't even think of any brands right now. Just, okay, Blinkit. What is the color of Blinkit or Swiggy or Zomato? Can you just like write the brand and the color? Because I asked for three: Blinkit, Swiggy, and Zomato. Yep, yep. So again, why do you think that you remember these things? I mean, most of us are using the applications what, every 2 days if we are not living at home, or every other day or something like that. But how do you remember all of this? Nobody really sat you down and taught you that this is the color of Zomato application. This is what you need to learn. No, this was, all of this information was fed to you subconsciously through their marketing, through their branding. And yeah, so that is again what the value of your subconscious mind is. That is how you create the recall value for any particular brand. Okay, so we have covered the branding part. Apart from this, what information is critical for the use, for the brand, for the business to have the user onboarded? We of course need their first name and their last name. We may or may not need their gender or their date of birth. So I am just writing down all the information that we may need from the user. But how do we prioritize all of it? We will get to it. Apart from this, we may need their phone number, we may need their email, any other information that we might need from the user, maybe their address. So keep in mind, all of this information is being asked from the user when we are getting them to sign up, not logging in. When we've logged in, when the user is trying to log in, we know that they have completed this process. It is an existing user. We have all of this information. They are aware of the brand. They have given us access to all this information. So in logging in, we just need to get them to verify through email or through their phone number. So we're not gonna touch this flow today. We're just gonna be talking about this. So again, first name, last name, gender, date of birth, phone number, email, address. Anything else that is required to get the user to onboard? Location, okay, that is address. Username. So username is preferred in applications where the user is interacting with other people. That is where you might want to set your username. But for example, if I'm using Swiggy, I don't really need to set a username for this. Okay. Uh, right. All right. After this, age can be covered. It's a variant of date of birth. Password. So again, as mentioned in the first session, password is something that is not preferred anymore, because one, it is just one more thing that you need to remember. And if you forgot, you need to go through, forgot your password, get validation via OTP or something, set another password, make sure that you remember that password. So again, it is a lot of hassle. So instead of creating a password now, we just get the user to verify their account via OTP. I think it's not good to ask so much questions at first interaction. That is fair, which is why I said that we need to just list down all the questions we ask the user, what is important, what the business impacts are, what the priority is. We will set all of that after we are done with this session, after we are done with reading the comments. Guys, any other feedback, anything else that you think we can ask the user? First name, last name, gender, date of birth, phone number, email address, anything apart from this? If you think we can add something, and then we can set priority to this. OTP will come into the second phase. Great. Okay. So now we have so many information points, and of course, address will have at least 4 to 5 fields. It will have address line 1, address line 2, city, state, country, if the application is global. So, do we really want to bombard the user with so much information or get them to fill out a 2 page form like they do in banks? No, we don't want to do that. We do not want to make the user suffer, or we, of course, do not want the user to drop off. So, what we're going to do here is we're going to set priority. What is the primary information that a business wants from a user, so that if the even if the user has dropped off, they can get in touch with the user again? They just require the first name, the last name, or something between their phone number and email. If the business requires both of them, that is fair. That is their own personal goal. That is something that we cannot control, but it is always preferred to have one of this. Why? Because let's create something fresh here. I have This is my signing up form. I have my first name, I have my last name. I get the user to enter their mobile number, or I get the user to enter their email ID. If I ask the user to enter both of them, what is gonna happen is in the next screen where I get the user to verify their OTP, the user will be running around checking OTPs via SMS and via mail. And if they accidentally land on the next screen where they have two OTP inputs, do you think this seems like a fair flow where I am entering the OTP for mobile and OTP for mail? Because, of course, if I'm asking them for their phone number and their email, it means I definitely do need to validate both of them, because I would not want the user to just give me some random information, some invalid phone number or invalid email. If they are giving me this information, if I'm letting the user to come on board and view my application, I definitely do need to know if they are, an authentic user and not a bot. So in that case, I do need to get some information, but I don't need both of them. This will just create a hassle. So I try to understand what my primary source of information should be that aligns properly with my business. If I get the phone number, I can get my support staff to call them directly. For example, let's talk about Blinkit. They require my phone number more than they require my email, because through my phone number, the delivery partner or the restaurant partner can get in touch with me, because that is what is easily accessible to me. But when we talk about Figma, because this is a SaaS product, and I am using it on my system. So maybe it is easier for me to give them my email, because that is what they're using. That is, their approach. So if they contact me via email, I am more likely to check it, and it makes the whole process feel a bit more professional. So again, that is what information that we want from the user has to align with the business needs. I hope this makes sense. No, there are no assignments that you need to submit. Uh, okay, pin code again is in address. Uh, right. Phone number preferred, because the autofill option will show the screen to user. Whenever we get a mail and if we have given access to the application, the new mail that we receive, which has the OTP, can also be autofilled. But again, it depends if the email that you receive goes to spam or something. Again, that creates a hassle. Okay. Uh, Topic is already covered in first session, so please continue in design. That's okay. We have time. We can continue discussing this. Yes, we will be working on the design as well. Okay, I heard you, Parth. Thank you. Anything else, guys? Any other queries about this? All right. So now we've covered. Oh, that's a lot of scribble. I'm just gonna move it on top. So now we know that we just need to get the user's first, last, and their mobile number, right? So before we do that, we now realize that we need to create a splash screen before getting to the sign up page, right? Let's get into that. What information do I need to show on my splash screen? Okay, I need my brand color, which is a shade of teal green. I need some design elements in this. I'm just gonna stick to this for now. And I need a logo. I'm just gonna head to Google, uh, white health care logo. Anything that I get, I will just quickly turn it. Wait, it should be transparent. Got this. This is low resolution. Bear with me, guys. Yes, we found a decent looking logo. I'm just gonna quickly put it here. Again, as mentioned in the last session, guys, it will be great if you add elements from Lottie files or something else, something similar to kind of make your design look elevated. It will definitely help you achieve that professional look in your design. So maybe have the circle in the background move, some interactive elements, especially in the splash screen. For example, if this is a design that I'm going ahead with, I'm just gonna quickly change this to black because it doesn't look good in the gray. Okay, so if I have this logo right now, what I can do in my splash screen is just have this circle around it move, so that because it's moving at a selected space, it is kind of focusing me because this is moving. So my eye will automatically want to focus on something that is static, that is fixed, which is the logo. Okay, so I am trying to create the user's focus around it. Again, this is just an example to get the designer to make something that again focuses on the branding part, right? So we now have our primary screen with for the splash. Now we move on to an interim page that we talked about here, which is screen a screen between sign up and login phase. Right. So for this, what I'm going to do is change the color to this. Again, this page is the first page that the user sees right after the splash. It dissolves within a second. And after this, I want the user to kind of focus on the information that so that it motivates the user to sign up. Now, what do I need in order to create a UI for applications? Again, as I mentioned in the file over here, Nucleus UI Kit is something that I refer to from time to time whenever I feel like there is, I need to quickly create a UI or something. So I'm just gonna head to this. I have, so they have set guidelines. They have, in order to be more efficient around this, I'm just using the Nucleus free kit that they have right now. You can definitely create your own. I will move this over here. I will just fix this and the support icon. I'm gonna detach this instance, guys, because again, we talked about how important, the libraries are, the components are. So what I'm going to do is look for the icon that I need, which is support in this, pressing K to resize it so I don't have to be worried about the scale of it. I'm going to click on this as well. As you can see, I don't really need this navigation right now. I don't need any back button because this is the first page that the user will see. Now, because I'm getting the user to select between two buttons, sign up and login, I do need to convince the user to create this action, right? I do need to get them to perform this action. How am I going to convince the user to do that? By creating some level of branding around here. If this is a healthcare application, I need some visual cues. I refer to site called Pixels and FreePick when it comes to getting resources. For example, if I look for an image of a doctor, these two resources are free. I mean, Figma has some assets that are paid, but again, it also has a lot of free options. So, which is again great. I will select this image, maybe not this. Free download, attribution is required. Guys, definitely pay attention to things like attribution or royalty. We do not want to end up getting sued by some company because we used a resource that we should not have without paying for it. Because at the end of the day, whatever you are creating, you would not want anybody to steal your work. So it is only fair to extend the same courtesy to other people's design, right? Now I downloaded this image, but there is a slight background around it. I do need to remove this background. Again, a lot of features in Photoshop or Canva are present that allow you to remove the background. What I personally prefer is Adobe's Express. It lets me do so much more to an image, and my go-to is it's just a shortcut, adobe.com/express, and it lets me very easily upload a file, upload an image, and remove the background efficiently. So I'm gonna just do that. The background is removed and I head over to Figma. The image has been resized. I'm gonna just quickly add it here, right? If you can. So because I haven't added auto layout to this design, I am able to work a little faster than I would. But that does not mean that auto layout should not be used. It definitely should be used. I cannot focus on this enough. I gave you guys a walkthrough on this in the last session, so definitely pay attention to this because this is just a prototype or a very basic level of design that I'm creating for a reference. So I'm not using it extensively. I will be using it here and there. I will keep mentioning it. So again, I have put my primary image, which kind of establishes that this is an application that caters to healthcare, right? Now I need to add some background elements to this because it looks a little light. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a box on the top right, maybe add a gradient to it. And so again, this is just my way of creating something that I think might be appealing to the user. At the end of the day, we do need to validate our own input. We need to understand what the user might want. I'm going to add a layer blur to this. I'm going to put it as 100. If you see this, I'm going to move it a little farther. I think 100 might not be enough. I'm going to for 200. This looks fine. I'm gonna now duplicate this layer, Command D, Control D, and I'm going to add another layer a little bit on this side so that my background does not look too empty right now. Okay. Another element in the background that I could add, again, just my own preference. Basically, I do not want the background to be too heavy, but I don't want it to be too dull. I want it to be pleasing because, as we discussed yesterday, things that look good are understood to be working well as well, right? If something looks good, people just automatically perceive that it is going to work beautifully. So, okay, this is something that I created. It, I'm going to write, yeah, I think this is the design and I'm sticking to it. I have this. All right, now it's time to add some primary content on top of it. Uh, get get healthy now. Get healthy today is my impactful message. Again, guys, whenever we are creating an application, whenever we are working on any particular design, it might seem so easy to just add lorem ipsum or put some dummy content on this, but you have to understand that the design looks so much more impactful if the messaging is right. So it's gonna take you some additional time, but it is good to have the messaging right instead of just placing dummy content. Because of course, if I had added lorem ipsum here, it would not really make sense. I would not really, find the design all that impactful. But if it is written get healthy today, of course this makes sense now. This image of the doctor is aligning with the message today, right? So that is why this is important. Any questions till now? Okay. All right. Right. Yes, we will get to this. Required skills to land a job. Yes. Yes. Definitely. Uh, Masking. I'm not sure. Are you guys talking about the masking of layers like this? If I have this circle, I go back, I select my previous layer, and I mask the file. Is this what you guys are referring to when you ask for the masking feature? Can you please quickly validate this? Guys, if you can head to the comment section if this is the masking you are talking about. Okay, great. Okay, this is, let me just quickly walk you through this. So how we go about it is that I created my primary layer. It could be a vector, it could be an image, any element, or it could be a group of images. And I create a shape behind which I want to mask this image. Again, it could be any particular shape, it could be a star, it could be anything that I want as the shape in which my primary image or layer falls. So what I'm going to do is I am going to move this layer up. I'm going to move this layer on top of the layer that I want as my base. I select both of them. This half moon crescent shape on top is use as mask. I click on this, my mask is created. Now keep in mind that the primary layer that you wanted, which is a star in this case, it has to be right behind my original layer, the layer with all of my assets in it, right? So I hope this clears your query. Great, let's head back to this. So now we have a clear messaging. but maybe the font is not all that impactful, and maybe I would want something that is a little readable, but at the same time a little not mainstream. So maybe I'll just go with this font. Again, font combination is something that you can research on or just validate your own ideas. There is a site that I can't recall right now. Let me just go to it. Font generator or font space, I think, is the name. Wait, no, that's not it. Okay. All right. I will just take a look at this. I'll just make a quick comment for myself. Font generator. I have the name saved somewhere, but once I do find it, again, I will add it in the first UX laws and links page. And you guys can refer to that. It's a site which lets you kind of generate combinations of font with sans serif and serif. So again, that will be helpful. So I'm going to, this is my title, and then I'm going to add 2 lines with a sans serif font. I'm going to adjust the line height to auto. This messaging is going to be 16, and I use the application to check up on your health daily is my messaging, right? What you can see that the application looks a little too green. How do I deal with it? It's just like green everywhere. It is overwhelming. And because now I'm going to add my primary and secondary CTA over here, it's gonna be just way too much of green over here. So let me just show you how green it's going to be. So green. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start changing colors of the text that I've used. I do not want it to be so black, and I do not want it to be a shade of blue. So what I'm going to do is move it a little here, right? If you can see, it's not exactly black, it's not exactly gray or green, it's just somewhere in the middle. I am okay with that. I reduce the size. Now, as you can see, this image is kind of standing in the middle of the page. It's hanging. It is not aligned with the buttons, but at the same time, it's just there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a layer that kind of makes it blend with the background. If my background is white, what I'm going to do is add a gradient to it. So again, guys, giving you a brief on not just how the interface is created, but at the same time, what are the small fine-tune changes that we can do to elevate the design. Okay, so I've done this. I'm gonna move all of these layers behind the gradient that I put, so that now I can see that my layer is blending. It doesn't seem like it is just hanging in the middle. All right, I can just increase this a little bit more. Yeah, this looks fine to me. This, now I need to work on the buttons. As discussed in, I think, the last, yep, here we are. These were the buttons that we were working on yesterday. I'm just gonna quickly add them to my main file. My primary buttons were round edged and the colors were a shade of blue, but today I need them to be a shade of teal and the text to be yellow. So what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to add these buttons as my primary, and this was my on hover state, but I'm going to create another state over here, which is going to be my secondary button. And what does my secondary button look like? It is white, but it has an outline of teal, and the text in it is maybe a shade of the same green that we had here. Again, to pick the color, I clicked on I, that's the shortcut, and I want this to be a secondary CTA, right? So I do want the user to sign up, and my secondary would be to log in, right? So because I had created an interactive component over here, so let's see if this works. It does not, because I have not linked it. That's fine. So now I'm ready with my primary screen, the screen that comes right after my splash. After I've downloaded the application, I get my splash screen, and then I get my login or sign up screen in which I can check which user type I am. Have I been to this application before? Yes, I go to login. If not, I go to sign up, and there is an option to get in touch with the support. I have my primary context set, what this application does. I have my branding checked. I have my branding checked through the colors. And fortunately, the image we chose, the dress or the uniform of the doctor also matches the color. And I have a very clear visual representation of what this application is about, because there is a very clear image that is associated with the messaging. So all of this kind of covers my branding part. It sets the context right for the user and defines clear actionables for what needs to be done next. Any questions about this? I'm gonna head to the comment section. Go back to this. Okay, I'm going too fast. Okay, guys, am I going too fast or too slow? Not really sure what to follow here. All right. If you guys have any questions, any feedback regarding this. So again, you can't be expected to create all of this at your first attempt. So as I had mentioned yesterday, what you should ideally do is take a reference of an application or a single page. For example, as we discussed yesterday, Myntra's checkout page. Recall everything that you can remember from what information is put on the checkout page, and based on that, just start recreating it at your own pace. Even if you do not remember enough information, you can't recall, you can just have the screenshot ready and see what information can you put in a different space. So okay, all right, any other feedback, guys? All right, how to do blending. So it was not really blending. What I had done was I had created a linear gradient. I don't need to do that. Even I can just select a lighter shade, and I added layer blur. In effects, I added layer blur. When we go to effects, we have 4 options: inner shadow, drop shadow, layer blur, and background blur. So I chose layer blur from there, right? That kind of gave me this effect on the sides. Okay. All right, moving to the next screen. Again, guys, whoever is requesting that we don't have enough time, it is okay. We cannot be expected to learn Figma overnight. It is going to take you at least a month of daily exercises, working on different properties, using different features that that the application has, and based on that, you gradually understand what feature to be used where, what component needs to be created for which section, and so on. So now I have moved on from my logins or sign up screen, the intermediate screen, and I want to sign up now. Being a user, what I'm going to do is create a design for sign up process. Now, usually there is a status bar on top, and I do not want to go back to the file to get one. So I'm just going to look up iOS status bar. I will get something from here. I'm just gonna quickly use this file. So it is not an ideal approach. Of course, you should get something raw or create your own version of it is what is generally preferred. But because we don't have so much time, so I'm just going to go ahead with this image that is in front of me. Okay, I have my status bar in place. I have my top navigation, which is letting the user know that they can either go back to this page where they select whether they want to log in or sign up, or they can stay on this page and work around this. So I have my right actionable. I replace the settings icon with the, what do I replace it with? Support icon, right? And I do not need this background, white background, because it is conflicting with the gradient that I've added over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the fill of this. This looks slightly better. Now, because this was a generic messaging for the user to make an action over here, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a more customized option or something that caters to my sign up process. For example, welcome to interim. And the subtext could be get started or take your first step towards being fit. Right? I changed my messaging. I removed this image. I don't need it right now because my primary actionable is to get information from the user. I head back to the library, the resources that I had taken from the nucleus file. I need their number and their first name, last name. So that is what I'm going to do. Guys, if you're concerned where I got these assets from, I'm not making any of these. I'm just copy pasting it. Yes, I am, because I had already mentioned it in the document. I got all these assets from Nucleus. You can definitely create your own, but because of the time constraint, I'm not doing that. I just took all of this from the file. You can feel free to use any open files resources. Make sure they are free to use, or you can create your own. So I added all of that of the input field information over here. I am not going to ask separate information for their first name or last name. I'm going to combine it because, again, that is the asset that I have right now. It is better to get them separately so that whenever we are trying to send them maybe an emailer, marketing emailer, it is good to know that what their first name is, so that when we talk about something, some messaging like welcome to interim twinkle, if I had added my first name, last name together, maybe it would be difficult, and maybe it would be something like welcome to interim twinkle Sharma. So it seems a little informal. And so again, depends on the business that we are working for. So I'm going to add here full name, and based on the country that I'm in, I change the flag and I add here 98765432110. These are my primary input fields that I want the user to fill out. And now my primary button will be sign up, or it's actually not going to be sign up, it is going to be verify OTP, right? This is my sign up page. यहाँ पे it should be sign up to take your first step towards being fit, so that again we are ensuring that the user knows that they are signing up. I hope the screen makes sense. Does anybody have any queries? Please feel free to reach out. Guys, if you have any queries around this, please be open about it. We can have a discussion on this as we go about it. Clear, great, all right. So as we are working on creating this flow, we will also keep on linking the files to each other. We will also be working on the prototype of this. How do we do that? I select my first layer, which is the splash screen. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to click on Shift E. Whoever is not familiar with what prototype mode is, please pay attention. I clicked on Shift E. The panel on the right side changed. What I'm going to now do now is I click on Flow Starting Point. What this feature does is that it lets me have clean access to what my flow will be. What if I'm creating an application that has more than 20 or 30 flows? What is a flow? A flow is a step taken in order to achieve a business goal or any particular goal. It doesn't necessarily need to be about the business. For example, if I want to purchase a product, what is going to be my flow? I go to point A, I download the application, I go through the categories, select the product, do the customization, add it to the cart, make the payment through my payment details, whatever third party portals, and that is when I have purchased a product. That is one flow. Another flow could be I got the product, the physical product, I realize it's of a shoddy quality and I want to return it. What is going to be my flow then? I go to the application, I go to my profile, go to orders, click on return, do my basic duties over here. For example, I need to give them a reason why I'm returning the product. And apart from this, do I need the refund in my bank account or the portal credit, whatever that is? That is again another flow. So, and this what we are working on right now is my onboarding flow. So exactly that is what I'm going to write over here. This is my onboarding flow. I hope this is clear. I hope I'm not going too fast, guys. Please feel free to let me know about that. So once I have done that, as I hover on the screen on any corner, you will see a white button, a white circle that is trying to pop. And as soon as I hover on it, it kind of, changes into a plus icon. So because I want to link this screen to the next screen, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on it, hold the tab, drag the arrow to the next screen. Okay, what did I do over here? I'm going to do it again. I click on the screen, and don't worry if you start the arrow from here or any point of the screen, that is okay. For me, I clicked on this, I held the tab, I dragged the arrow to the next screen. As soon as I do that, this opens up. What is this? I'm not going to show a lot of animations or transitions in today's session. You have dedicated videos for that, because I'm just going to touch base with the most basic design. What I'm going to do over here now is I am going to add I think add delay I will explain to you later on. And for now I will set. So basically, navigate to is something that is preset when I'm linking two pages. For example, this is frame 92 and 93. So it is already showing me that my original page is linked to page 93, which is fine. And the animation will be instant. Now, what does that mean? Let's see. I click on this, I click on a frame, and while being in the prototype mode, I don't necessarily need to click on Shift E to reach this phase. If I'm on the design file, I can just click on prototype from this side and present. So what it's going to do is that I tap on this and this page appears instantly, which is what we had selected over here, right? If I click on dissolve, it's going to ask me what the type of animation you want it to be. I'm just going to leave it at ease out, When I click on this, it's gonna ask me what the duration of the animation should be. I'm going to mention 500 milliseconds and I'm going to leave it at that. Let's select the first frame, click on present again, and you can see the change, right? I go back to the screen for your reference, clicking on it again, and you can see that this screen very gently fades as opposed to what it was doing instantly before. I hope this very small piece of prototyping is clear. I hope there are no doubts in this. Okay. So prototyping is as close to we will get as designers uh, to create something interactive. Basically, what prototyping does is it tries to mimic the behavior of an application or a website. We can kind of show or present the designs in such a way that helps the user understand that how are we reaching from point A to point B. It is very easy to kind of see that when I click on this through arrows, that when I click on this, I get to this screen. When I click on this, I get to this screen. But isn't it so much better when I am actually showing you how the screens are interacting with each other? For example, I click on the splash screen and I get to this screen. Now I'm gonna link one more page just so we get the idea exactly right. So you can link frames to another frames, or you can even link buttons or small assets, even a text or even a button or an icon or a logo image, anything that you want, anything that is not logged. Just be make sure that your layer is not logged, because that makes it kind of very difficult. Okay, so I have my sign up button over here. I want the user to kind of, when they click on it, they move to this page, because this is my sign up page. Let me just yeah, I changed the messaging over here. I click on this button. When I'm in my prototype mode, when I click on any asset, there is going to be a plus icon, a blue and white plus icon that is shown. I click on this, I keep on clicking on this, and it asks me which frame do I want to link it to. Do I want to link it to the button next to it, or the page next to it, or this page? I want to link the sign up button to the page 94. That is what I did. Now it's gonna ask me what my prototype or interaction properties are going to be. Again, because I had linked it directly, it's going to ask me navigating to screen 94, correct? Now, instead of dissolve, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try out a new feature. So I'm going to try out move in. And when I click on this, it is showing me that which side is the next screen going to move in from. So I'm going to select moving in from this side, from right to left. Okay. And the fading in, the time it takes is going to be 500 milliseconds. So how does this work? Let's start from the beginning. I go to my splash screen, I click. Now, this one very easy feature that Figma has given is when I'm not sure which button to tap, which asset is linked during a prototype, I can just click in the empty space, and you can see that the sign up button has kind of a faded blue layer around it. It is telling me where to click next. Maybe there are multiple options that are linked. Maybe this icon is linked to a separate page, or maybe even this button, but I'm not sure. So what I need to do is I need to click in the empty space and I click on sign up. So when I'm clicking on sign up, just recall what I had added as my interaction properties. I am assuming that my page, new page, is going to slide in from this side. So when I click on this, My sign up page is now coming in through this site, right? And but now I want to go back. I now want to go back to my previous page because I accidentally clicked on sign up, but I really wanted to just click on login. So another thing that this flow is teaching me that I missed out on adding a message over here which says already have an account, login. I hope this real-time example is helping you guys understand what is the importance of prototyping. It not only helps me understand how the application screens interact with each other, it also helps us understand what gaps are there in my design. If I had not linked this button, I would not have realized that there is also one more asset that needs to be added, which is already have an account. I of course need some sort of linking between signing up and logging in. It needs to be on this particular page only, right? Okay, let's run through this one more time really quickly. I have my splash screen. I click on this. Again, I am tapping in the open area to kind of understand that I can sign up. I click on sign up. This screen comes in from the side. This is the animation that I chose. I have an option to go to my login page, and I'm clicking the empty space to kind of understand that this button is also linked. I click on this button and it goes back, it takes me back to my original page. Again, this is how an application flow really works. This is exactly how it is when the application is coded and I download it from App Store or Play Store. So this is exactly what Figma prototyping is trying to do, give you a real-time feeling of what the application will look like once it's coded and uploaded. I'm gonna take a little break, head over to the comment section. Okay. We haven't created the login screen is why I haven't linked it yet. Okay. Of course, there are so many more options that we can choose from. There is, for example, let's try after delay. So for example, if I'm on this screen, if I'm on the first screen, and because how usually splash screens work is I don't really need to tap on them. They go away on their own. So what I'm going to do is I am going to click on after delay. Instead of on click, I'm going on after delay of 500 milliseconds, navigate to screen 93 and dissolve. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. Playing this prototype again, and it goes away on its own. But this was a little faster. I'm going to make it double, 1000 milliseconds. And this time it is a little smoother, right? Okay. OTP box is not missing. We are gonna ask the user to verify the OTP in the next screen. Any other questions, guys? Okay, great. Moving on. Now I need to create a screen for my OTP verification. I'm just going to replicate the screens. How can I do that? Again, wait, I accidentally opened the dev mode. Command or Control D is how I can replicate this design. I am going to name the page verify OTP on the top. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to remove the title because I've set the context that this is a verify OTP. Or if you don't want to, if you want to keep this text, you can just remove something from here because sign up has been mentioned here, and I can just write verify OTP over here and some messaging to let the user know that we have sent in a 6-digit OTP to your registered mobile number, which is +91 98765 43210. Okay, and we also need to give an option to the user to either go back from here or edit this number. So ideally, this should be edit. I'm not gonna go and import an icon for this, but just a placeholder, right? Now I need them to input their OTP. I'm gonna head to my library right now. I don't think I copied a button which lets me input the OTP. That's okay. I can just copy the properties of this asset, which is 48 is the height. So, okay. So how do I copy the properties of any particular asset? I have my rectangle. I'm just gonna lock this line shape over here because it's becoming a hassle. How did I lock the file? I selected the file, I clicked on it, I click on Control Shift L. That is how I locked the file. Again, guys, it is very important to kind of understand what the shortcuts are so that I can work efficiently. Again, the link for the Figma shortcuts is here. You can check it out. Now I have a layer of size of height 48, and I need to make sure that it follows. If I'm creating a new asset, it needs to follow what the properties are of this: same border radius, same stroke, solid fill. All of that needs to be similar. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to select this layer. I hold on command and I can directly go to this particular layer rather than going on click and coming to this. I click on command or control, get to this. Now I am clicking on command option C or Control Alt C. So what does it do? You can also find this option in here, right click, copy properties. What this does is basically all the properties, all the CSS properties of this element will be copied. And when I select my new layer and I go to copy paste as paste properties, it is going to replicate all the properties this layer has into this. So why is it required? It is required to kind of save time when it comes to checking all the assets and their harmony, if they are following the same radius. Yes, they are. We need to ensure all of this is happening, but again, checking it manually takes a lot of time, a lot of our effort, which could be going into designing the UI instead. So again, Figma has so many options that is helping us save time. So please refer to the shortcuts. It is a lifesaver. So, okay. Now I need to kind of replicate. So how am I copying the file like this? Shift Alt. And so if I click on this file and I click on Shift and Alt, and I can just drag a new layer out of it, right? Shift kind of ensures that whatever I'm making, whatever layer I'm moving is moving in either vertical or horizontal straight line. That is what shift is for. Alt is to duplicate. When I'm clicking on both, it is ensuring that whatever layer, whatever asset I'm making or replicating is of the same size. Now, what am I going to do? Do I go for this? No, I would much rather go for Shift A, which is auto layout. So it kind of makes the alignment for my ease again. But I understand that 6 is too much. I'm just going to stick with 4-digit OTP that I'm gonna get, and I'm gonna increase the width between them right now. I do that. Again, this is auto layout. Refer to yesterday's video if you want more clarity on what auto layout does. And I'm going to ungroup it right now because I need to add a placeholder for this, where the text will go, where the numbers will go. I need to have a placeholder for that. So this is where my OTP will go, right? Now, what I'm trying to do over here is I'm trying to make sure that the alignment for this layer and this layer is consistent so that I am maintaining the visual hierarchy in both the screens. This button has to be aligned. The gap between this button and this element, which is 34 here, has to be similar to what is here. Again, to maintain the harmony in my design. But at the same time, the level of these elements, the input boxes, should match, right? So, and now I need to change the messaging on top by clicking on the button. You are agreeing to our TNC, validating to make sure that uh, this is get OTP, verify OTP. All right. What did I miss in the screen? I think we discussed it the last time. We had to give an option to make sure that the user can resend OTP in 30 seconds. This countdown will start running as soon as the user gets the OTP or comes to this page, basically. So I need to ensure that this is also following the same gap. Yes, it is. Now I will come to the linking part, the prototyping part. I've come here and now I want to verify this OTP. So what do? I click, I select this button, I drag it over to this frame. Of course, this is going to be on click, navigate to page 95. I wanted to dissolve this time to 500 milliseconds. That is what I'm going to do. Let's run the prototype one more time. Click on sign up, get OTP, and now I come to this page. So this is an ideal flow of an application and a working prototype. And how do we go about linking the files to have this effect of uh, a working application? We don't have a login page designed as of now, is why we are not linking it. Any other questions? Yeah, this can be customized. Time limit for validity of OTP. I think once they receive an OTP, we can show that. How could we do a pop-up for verify OTP? It is ideal to create a new page for verifying OTP. Why is a pop-up not preferred over a full pager? Because while the pop-up does kind of take the user's attention from the rest of the information to that just one small box, it also increases the chances of accidental clicking. if I have my phone in my hand and I'm trying to kind of like click on it, and the OTP at the same time, because it is of like this particular small area, what is going to happen if my hand accidentally slips and I tap on an area outside the pop-up, and the pop-up goes away, basically, because that is what, pop-ups are designed to do. If you tap outside, it goes away. So basically, that is what we are trying to, not do here. We don't want the user to click on the verify OTP button again, have to wait for the OTP to come to him, then they enter it. So instead, we just give it a full page. Yes, autofill is available, but it needs the user to kind of give access to their SMS in that use case. Okay, I think we addressed this for those who are like Figma shortcuts, UI nucleus. So all of this, again, as mentioned, is in the file UX laws and links. All of this is here. You can check that out. Uh, okay. Right. Great. So this is done. I think we have another half an hour left. So we can just quickly, instead of three-fold, maybe we can just create one fold of landing page to kind of understand how much uh, effort is required to create something when it comes to website designing. So for a website, of course, we have a much larger scale for to put the information in, but at the same time, we do not want to overwhelm the user with information. So, for example, if we look at this design, it looks relatively clean. It looks relatively minimal. I'm not sure about the background elements now. I think, yeah, this is a better combination. All right, I'm going to just quickly remove this because this is going to irritate me later. Okay, yeah, so this looks a lot cleaner now. And even I think the less impactful or not impactful, the less overwhelming your backgrounds or your graphic elements will be, the easier it will be for your user to focus on all this information, your messaging, your brand logo, or your primary CTAs, right? Okay, the same ideology we are going to follow in our website design for the same healthcare application. Interim is the name. So, what is this web page about? It is a promotional landing page for the application. The purpose of this design will be to kind of promote what is happening, that we are launching or coming up with a new application. That is what this page is going to be all about. Okay. Right. So we are going to use a grid layout for this, just for our own reference. And I want to add columns to it. I want to have a margin of maybe not 60, 100 pixels. Actually, it is preferred to have it close to, sorry, not even 100, I think 140. Again, no set guidelines. Why I'm giving this margin over here is to kind of leave some breathing space, because for right now, I am using the dimensions 1512 by 982, but there are other screen sizes. There is MacBook Air for 1280 by 832, MacBook Pro 16 inches, different, desktop is different, TV is different. So the screen that you will be designing for, there is no set right or wrong base design dimensions. I mean, all of this is acceptable. But what you need to make sure, if you're designing for web, you need to give your margins accordingly, because at the end of the day, the screen that you are designing it for, there are so many devices. I mean, it is very difficult to create the one shoe fits all situation. That kind of product is definitely difficult to achieve. But this is where we need to be closely working with the developers to kind of understand that how are they managing or moving my design from one screen size to another. So basically what that means is, if I'm creating my base design on this dimension, I should be making something that can be used on this dimension as well. I mean, it is going to take a little more time to scroll through it because the height is decreased, but that doesn't mean that the information should get hidden or maybe mismatched somehow. So I need to ensure that how we're going to do that, we will get to that. So I created some margins. These margins are my breathing spaces for the design. I want a top navigation, and the size I want it for is 80. Okay. So one thing I missed about mentioning when we were going through the application prototype is when I click on prototype and I have not selected any frame, it is going to ask me what device are you designing it for. For example, I had designed this for iPhone 13 mini, but I think I don't see it here. But the closest to, I check my dimension, this is the dimension that I had created it for. And if I am creating it for any specific frame size, again I can choose the device from here. There are so many options. Oh, okay, this is here. But when I'm creating something for maybe MacBook Pro 14 inches, I can select that. It is going to change the device in which I see my screen. For example, if I select this, so my design is going to show up in this, in the prototype mode. If I do not want to use a device, or I do not have a preset device for the design, maybe I'm creating a social media post or something. In that case, you can just set your device to none. You can play around with your background colors. All of this will be changed in the background. I'm going to keep it as black. All right, I'm going to set my prototype to MacBook 14 inches because that is the device that I'm using. All right, heading back to the design part of it, I set my dimensions to full width and the height will be 80. I make sure that the top navigation color is white, and I add an effect of drop shadow because it helps when I'm scrolling through the website and the top navigation gets stuck on the top. It is good to have some sort of separator. What if the background of my design is white? I do not want the top navigation to kind of blend with it. I want there to be some separation. That is where drop shadow comes in. I'm going to keep the blur as 30, not touching the x-axis, changing the y coordinates to 10 or maybe 20. This is how much I want the drop shadow to fall downwards. And then the color opacity of my drop shadow, I can change it to any color. If I move it to red, it's gonna reflect over here. I'm keeping it black, but at the same time, I'm changing the opacity to very minimum, which is 10. I've kept it as 10. Now let's see how this looks in my prototype mode. Yeah, it looks fine, right? Okay, great. I'm going to just quickly create a container from this to kind of help me understand what my margins are. I personally don't prefer to use the margins. What I do instead is I just create something around this to kind of help me that this is the border that I should not cross because it will increase difficulty for the development phase. So, okay, I'm gonna copy this logo to this file again. How did I copy it? I clicked on the file, I clicked on Alt. the cursor changed. If you can see that the cursor is now a double cursor, top one is filled, the cursor under it a little bit to the right and top is outlined. I click on Alt, I drag the file to my frame. It is very important to keep the files inside the frame or else they won't be visible in the prototype. For example, if you can see, this is my interim healthcare promotional landing page and the image is inside it. What if the image was outside the frame? It still looks like it is inside the frame in the design, but I can see in my layers it is not. What is going to happen now? This file won't be visible in my prototype mode, but if I move this file from the layers, add it to the frame of my design, it is going to come back. So at times this does create confusion that we have created an element but it's not visible. How do I deal with that? Again, please make sure that you check that your file or your layer is inside the frame. Okay, any comments, any questions around this, guys? Okay, so while we are discussing how to go about creating a website, I think it is important to kind of understand or touch base on how to land a job in the world of UI UX. So while I keep on creating something around here, which is going to be very similar to the application, because at the end of the day, we want to create a recall value. We want to let the user relate to what they are going to see in the application versus what they are seeing in the landing page. Because again, we do want them to kind of feel that this application, this landing page is a reflection of the application that we are using. So I'm going to leave this space for maybe a video. Let's head back to pixels, videos, and doctor again. And I'm going to, maybe this is not a doctor, maybe a scientist, but this is the video that I am going to download for free. I'm going to download it on a low resolution. You can use whatever size that you are comfortable with, that is fine. So basically, how to land a job in the world of UI UX. I have again listed it down. I will make sure to add this, to move this to links. And because all the documentation is over here, I was just on the fly when I wrote all of this down. So first of all, you need to, I think, start with getting an internship. And how are you going to get an internship? You need to learn Figma. This is crucial at today's day and age. It is so important for any and every designer to kind of understand what Figma is, what it does, because in the position that you will be, which is maybe a junior designer or even an intern, you will not be responsible for creating new designs. For example, you will not be, it is a hard truth, but people would feel more comfortable in handing you work like maybe setting the typography of this whole piece, if not the whole design, or maybe maintain the libraries that the team lead or the senior designers have already established. So you will over time need to prove yourself with respect to your capabilities and your dependencies, what sort of work you will be allotted. But of course, you need to start with something. So internship is the best approach. You will get to learn a lot by working with designers, but at the same time not be responsible for so many things. And it will just kind of give you a free hand to experience the corporate culture firsthand. But in order to get there, you definitely need to learn Figma, because all the companies are moving to this tool. Nobody is really using Sketch or Adobe XD anymore. and everybody is either on Figma or Framer. I think Figma is more popular and more accessible. So yeah, that is something that you definitely need to do. Have a good command on it. And of course, not just the knowledge of Figma is important. You also need to have a very strong portfolio. Now, I understand you're gonna ask me that how can we have a portfolio when we are just starting as designers, if we are just looking for an internship right now. That is okay. I mean, I understand your concern, but at the same time, you do also need to understand that the companies are not going to just hand over the internship to you. They need to understand what your value is, what do you bring to the table, and you need to prove yourself when it comes to kind of cater to the company's needs, or at least establish the level of design that you are capable of creating. So all of that is very important. So okay, coming quickly back to this, what I have done over here is I have uploaded a video. So I think uploading videos to my design is limited to paid accounts as of now, because this is a paid account. This is a team project that I am working on. I was able to do it, but maybe it is not available for free accounts. So that is something that you can check it out. If you do not want to add maybe a video, you can just use a static image. That is completely fine. And okay, I think I'm just going to add a little bit of a gradient to it again to focus more on my branding piece. And all right, if I play this, let's see if my video plays with this as well. Yes, it does. Great. Great. So why did I add a video around it? So this could be, a video of maybe a doctor performing a task or something, or maybe just could be a video of the application, and maybe a screen recording of how to go about from one page to another. Again, this is just a placeholder to kind of make you understand what type of information can be put into this. I'm going to use the same fonts as I did in the application, clicking on K, rescaling the content, because I can have much bigger fonts and sizes over here. I'm going to keep it as 24. I do not want it to be too big. This is a description text. I want to keep this auto, but I see that keeping it auto is not really giving me enough line height between them. It is 29 right now. Maybe I want it to be 36 to kind of give it more of a breathing space. Move it down to 50%. I think this is okay. Now, what is the purpose of this promotional landing page? We want the users to register on the application. How do we do that? How do we get the users to do that? We can give them two buttons over here that they can either download the application. So if they are or join maybe newsletter, or download the application. What should be the secondary button over here? Learn more. Maybe redirect them to the page. So landing pages are different from websites. Landing pages are mainly used for marketing purposes. They will give you some very focused information about a particular topic. For example, in this page, I am trying to get the users familiarized with the concept of a healthcare application called Interim. That is what I'm trying to do for the user. So that is the agenda of a landing page, and through this I can redirect the user to any particular website. So landing pages are mainly again required for websites, sorry, businesses, when they are trying to run a campaign on them, or some paid promotions around it. So I have put this information that I had added in this. Now, in order to make sure that this element is resonating with this design, I'm gonna just add a couple of elements from the application to again create the sense of similarity in both of my designs. I'm going to add the background gradient. Now this looks a little empty right now, right? I mean, if this is just a single fold, this does look a little empty. So maybe I can add some more information around it. Maybe if the user is coming to this landing page, this one liner information might not be enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just copy some lorem ipsum around it. I know I told you that it is advised to have more contextual content around it, but I am not a content writer. I cannot come up with such a lengthy text in such a short time. It will not actually make a lot of sense, whatever I write. So I'm just going to use lorem ipsum for this. And okay, so this is my landing page. This is like the simplest way of doing it. Now I've put all of this. I do need to, in order to kind of get it validated with my peers or seniors, I do need to add auto layout to this. So what I do is, if I haven't done it before, I can just do it later on. It is not ideal, but if this is something that you need to do, that is fine. At least you're starting from somewhere. At least you are not unaware of what auto layout is. So I think that is okay for a starting point. All right, any questions about this? Heading over. It is not compulsory to learn HTML, CSS codes to become a designer. No, it's not. How can you make a case study and where to find it? What is this Google Sheet Bootcamp? Uh, okay, how to make website responsive. Okay, I think that is for a later on session. I mean, we can definitely think about this, but all right. Okay, let's talk about case studies very quickly. I think we have odd 10 minutes. What I'm going to do, I'm going to dribble and I'm going to search for app case study. So in your portfolio, you can have two types of designs. I mean, you can just recreate something. When we talk about recreate or inspirational design, you can just take an example of maybe cred. So cred has a design standard which has kind of elevated the standard for all of us. I mean, the dark mode, the I think the cool icons that they have, the retro pop colors that they have, design elements that they're using, it is just so different from the traditional application that we've been seeing all our lives. And especially to have an Indian work on something like this, I think it has been great. So what you can do is just pick up one screen from the application and try to recreate it. I mean, it doesn't necessarily need to be, 100% accurate with the information or whatever you're putting. It is just an attempt to see what all design options there could be. Maybe if cred is placing an icon on top right, maybe you can try to move it a little bit left, a little bit in the center. Maybe that is, if you feel that that is a better approach. If you do not want to touch the features, maybe just recreate the entire application in a different color scheme. Maybe go for a lighter mode this time. But you need to do all of this and add it to your portfolio so that you are making sure that the other person who is going through your portfolio knows that this is something that you are capable of. Because you need to understand that before you land an interview with an HR or a design manager, they need to find your portfolio so interesting that they want to get in touch with you. I understand that most of you might feel that once they do talk to me, they will understand, that I'm a capable and a creative designer. All of that is great, but that is not the first impression that you are making on the person going through a portfolio. Your portfolio is the first impression, that is the first point of contact that you are having with the end user. So you need to make sure that whatever you are showing in your portfolio reflects your capabilities. You are trying to sell yourself, you are trying to make sure the other person is convinced that this or this person has more skill set, has an enhanced skill set for the job that you're applying for. So again, that is something that you definitely need to work on. You need to have at least 2 or 3 inspired designs or recreations of original applications. And right, apart from having something called inspired designs, you also need to work on case studies. Now, what are case studies? Case studies are basically showing the entire design process that goes behind creating any product, be it a website or a dashboard or an application. So, when we talk about case studies, it follows a couple of things. For example, we need to understand the scope of work, which is kind of like the guidelines of what all features that we want to work on, what all requirements that we want to work on. There is something called, so again, business requirements is the scope of work. What is the problem? Who are the users? What is the design process? We need to empathize with the user. We need to define the competitive analysis, ideate, design, and test the work. So again, so many different approaches. Again, these approaches are also very subjective. So I would not want to confuse you with what a case study is. Let me break it down to something very simple to this, that when we talk about a case study, what are the things that are required? You need to identify the problem. What is the problem? If we take credit's example, people were not really sure of how to make credit card payments. There were the bank's own applications, but they are also very tedious to use. And also, there is no gamification or anything that engages the user in the application. That is the problem that cred solved, right? There was no quick grocery to shop to customer portal that was sending the groceries in less than 10 minutes. That is a problem that Blinkit solved. So what is the problem that you're trying to solve, right? That is the number one point in your case study. And apart from this, who are you solving it for? Who is your target audience? You need to understand who your target audience is so that you can design it better for them. Okay, once you establish that, what is the market situation like? Do you have any competitors? If yes, then what are they doing? Are they doing something similar to you, or are they not doing something similar? If they are, what are they doing? Is it better than what you had thought? How can you meet that level or go a step beyond that? That is something that you need to do. Apart from this, once you're done with your competitor analysis, you need to create or you need to map the user's journey. Again, how to go about from point A to point B is something that you need to map. Again, what we had done over here is just a glimpse of mapping the user journey. Then we come on to the wireframing. And I have skipped a couple of steps from this, which is the user research. Now, this is optional. If you feel like you do not have enough methods to do the research, then you can just use ChatGPT for your references. For example, one of the questions that I had searched for, if I'm creating something, that if there is a business requirement, for example, that do I design the application for iOS or Android for India, maybe you can just ask ChatGPT what is the majority devices that are being used in India in 2024? Is it Android or iOS? That sort of questions kind of help you understand what design needs to be made for whom, right? So once you are done with the wireframing stage, you move to UI. Once you're done with UI, you need to go to your prototyping stage. Once you're done with prototyping, you get it tested by end users. Share the prototype that you have created over here, get this link, share it with the people around you, have them test the flow. Once you have tested, you go back to your UI stage. When I say UI, I mean you need to create your library plus interfaces. Okay. Once you've tested the once you've gotten the designs tested from the end user, you move back to the UI stage to make the changes, because of course you will have gotten a lot of feedback from the users that this flow should be done like this or that. You need to understand that again you will receive a lot of feedback. Now choosing to implement what feedback when is something that you need to decide, and you need to have a very logical explanation as to why you're making this change based on what feedback. So UI and testing again, and that is after all of this is done, you ship the design to the developer. So basically all these things are ideal to have in a case study. But if you want to keep it simple, you need to identify the problem. You need to, of course, add a solution. Who are you solving it for? Just mention your target audience, just mention your competitors. Creating user journey is a must, because this is how we are kind of setting the flow for the wireframe. Wireframing, UI library, prototyping, and testing in the end. These are the sections with the green tick. These are the most important steps. You should not miss it when we are writing a case study or creating a portfolio around this application or any application. This is what it is all about. Once you're done with this, you will be able to understand, you will be basically able to answer all the questions that are coming your way as to what was the problem that you were solving, how did you solve it, how did you solve this problem, that, whatever comes your way. So I hope this helped. I hope this session helped. We are I want to create an order now page for my project which contains trash things. How can I display it to users? Like tab view simply category wise, which is better. Why not give an option to view as both? I mean, it is good to give the user the option. Uh, okay, guys, if you have any more questions around this, please feel free to drop a message now. This was the last day of our 3-day boot camp. I hope you guys learned something. It was great for me to give you this session. It was lovely interacting with you all. I'm gonna wait for a minute or two. If you guys have any last queries, please feel free. Yes, we do have another bootcamp scheduled for, I think, 25th, 26th, and 27th. That is around using Canva. So hope to see you guys in that session. All right, great. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. It was great getting in touch with you all. I hope you have a good day. Thank you.